stop. Before you let your mind wander to the next distraction, I want you to do something that might seem deceptively simple. Lift your hand. Hold it in front of your face. Now, look at it. Really look at it. What do you see? Do you see skin? Do you see fingerprints, scars, the subtle roadmap of your aging? Your brain tells you that this hand is solid matter. It tells you it is continuous, stable, and permanent. But your brain is lying to you. It is a biological filter designed to deceive you for your own survival. If you could strip away the limitations of your 5 senses and view this hand through the lens of high-energy physics, the solidity would vanish instantly. Its sock bent off. The scientist who walked the line between mechanics and mysticism revealed a terrifying truth. You are not a solid object. You are a stroboscopic event. You are blinking in and out of existence 14 times every second. You are here, and then you are gone. Here, and then gone. The only reason you feel solid is because your brain averages out these flashes of existence. Much like a movie projector creates the illusion of motion from still frames. But what happens in the gaps? What happens in the silence between the blinks? Imagine this. A sensation of intense heat rising in your palms right now. Science tells us that matter is frozen light. In 1974, German biophysicist Fritz-Albert Popp confirmed what the ancient Hermetic traditions have guarded for millennia. Your biological vessel is constantly emitting a stream of coherent particles of light. These are not metaphors. These are biophotons. At this very moment, your hand is glowing. It is emitting a faint, ultra-weak photon emission like a candle flame seen from 20 kilometers away. It is too subtle for your naked eye, which has been trained to see only the reflection of external light. But just because you're blind to it, does not mean it isn't ruling your reality. This light is not a waste product of metabolism. It is a language. Now, pay attention to your chest. Do you feel that subtle weight? That persistent background hum of exhaustion that sleep never seems to cure? You have been told this is normal. You have been told this is just the stress of modern life, the result of working too hard, or simply the gravity of Earth pulling on your bones. That is a lie. That heaviness you feel is not gravity. It is density. It is the feeling of your internal light being suffocated. We are living in a reality matrix, if you will, that is engineered to keep this biophotonic emission at its lowest possible setting. Think of yourself as a high-voltage lamp that has been deliberately dimmed down to a flicker. The fatigue you feel is not a lack of calories. It is a lack of luminosity. You are a being of infinite energy, structurally forced to function as an AA battery. Why? Because a human being who realizes they are made of light cannot be controlled. A human being who understands that their DNA is a fiber optic cable connecting them to the cosmos cannot be frightened, and fear is the currency of this realm. In the next few minutes, we are going to dismantle the biology of your prison. We are going to look at the science they ignored, the DNA they called junk, and the forbidden physics of the light body. But be warned, once you understand how the dimmer switch works, you will never be able to look at your exhaustion the same way again. You are not tired. You are being dimmed. To understand the magnitude of the lie you are living, we must first look into the microscope of the man who accidentally shattered the materialist model of biology. In the mid-1970s, Fritz-Albert Popp was not trying to prove the existence of the soul. He was a pragmatic radiologist trying to solve a very specific riddle regarding cancer. He wanted to know why one chemical, benzoypyrene, caused cancer, while a nearly identical chemical, benzoypyrene, was completely harmless. Chemically, they were almost twins, but in the presence of ultraviolet light, they behaved differently. Popp discovered that the carcinogen scrambled the light. It took light frequencies and gobbled them, turning a clear signal into static. This led him to a hypothesis that was considered heresy at the time. What if the body is not controlled by chemistry? What if it is controlled by light? Consider this biological impossibility. Inside your body right now, there are approximately 37 trillion cells. Inside every single one of those cells, there are about 100,000 chemical reactions happening every single second. If you do the math, that is billions upon billions of events occurring simultaneously. If your body relied on chemical signaling molecules bumping into each other, floating through fluid to deliver a message, it would be too slow. It would be like trying to organize a global internet network using carrier pigeons. By the time the signal from your brain reached your foot to tell it to step over a rock, you would have already tripped and shattered your face on the pavement. The speed of chemical diffusion is simply not fast enough to explain the miracle of your existence. So, how does the body do it? How does the liver know exactly what the heart is doing in real time? Visualize this within yourself. Deep inside the nucleus of your cells, the double helix of your DNA is not merely a genetic hard drive storing the color of your eyes or your predisposition to height. It is a vibrating, superconductive coil. Popp proved that DNA is the master storage unit and transmitter of light in the human body. It works like a biological laser. The DNA takes in photons from the sun, from the food you eat, which is just trapped sunlight, and it stores them. It spins this light within its coil, increasing its coherence until it needs to send a signal. When a cell needs to communicate, it doesn't just squirt out a chemical. It fires a biophoton. This pulse of light travels at roughly 186,000 miles per second, carrying vast amounts of data instantly to every other cell in the network. This is the light web. You are not a bag of meat driven by chemical gears. You are a fiber optic network of liquid crystal. When this network is functioning correctly, when your light body is intact, your cells glow with a stable, rhythmic, coherent intensity. This is what we call health. This is the halo that medieval artists painted around Saints not as a religious symbol, but as a depiction of high-voltage biophotonic output. But here's the terrifying corollary that Popp discovered. What is cancer? When he looked at tumor cells, he didn't find them dark. He found them exploding with light. But it was the wrong kind of light. It was chaotic. It was incoherent. The cells were screaming. They had lost their connection to the central rhythm of the organism. They were like musicians in an orchestra who had stopped watching the conductor and started playing their own deafening, discordant tune. Let that sink in. Disease is not just a biological failure. It is a loss of light coherence. It is the result of a body that has forgotten how to sing in tune with the universe. And if your DNA is the conductor, the antenna responsible for catching the signal from the cosmos to keep the orchestra in sync, then we must ask the forbidden question. Or what is jamming the signal? Let us look at the official story you have been fed by mainstream science. They claim that the human genome, the blueprint of life itself, is composed of approximately 3 billion base pairs. But they tell you that only 3% of this code is actually functional, meaning it codes for proteins that build your muscles, your eyes, and your skin. The other 97%, they call it junk DNA. Think about the sheer, staggering arrogance of that statement. Nature, an intelligence that designs the geometric perfection of a snowflake, the aerodynamic silence of an owl's wing, and the mathematical precision of planetary orbits, supposedly fill the most important molecule in the known universe with useless trash. No, nature does not create garbage. Nature creates systems. The 97% is not junk. It is the off-limits library. It is the section of the code they do not want you to access. Now, listen closely to the decoding. Modern Russian biophysicists, who dared to look where Western science turned a blind eye, discovered that this so-called junk functions exactly like a complex biological language. It follows the specific rules of syntax, grammar, and vocabulary. It is not a chaotic mess. It is a sophisticated data stream. While the 3% is busy building your physical vessel, the 97% is designed for hypercommunication. It acts as a liquid crystal superconductor for light. It is a fiber optic cable connecting you directly to the non-local field of information. This brings us to the forbidden physics of Itzhak Bentov. In his seminal work, Bentov proposed that the human mind is not a generator of thought, but a receiver. He described consciousness as a wild pendulum, a mechanism that oscillates between our physical reality and the infinite void of the absolute. If the brain is the radio set, then your DNA is the fractal antenna. When you have a sudden download of inspiration, when you know who is calling before the phone rings, or when you feel the heavy gaze of someone watching you from across the room, that is not a coincidence, that is physics. It is your 97% junk DNA vibrating in resonance with an external signal. It is catching information from the ether, modulating it through the geometry of your own internal light, and translating it into a thought you can understand. Let that implication settle in your mind. If your DNA is an antenna, then you are, by design, a telepathic being. You were designed to be plugged into the universal mind, to access the Akashic records, to communicate without words. The language of light is your native tongue. But here is the trap. An antenna only works if it is conductive. If you take a copper wire and coat it in mud, or if you cut it and twist it out of shape, the signal dies. You get static. You get noise. You get the feeling of being alone in a cold, empty universe. They labeled it junk DNA not because they didn't know what it did. That is the comforting lie. They labeled it junk so you wouldn't try to turn it on. They needed you to believe that you are a biological accident, a closed loop of meat and chemistry, effectively cutting you off from the power source. Because if you truly knew that 97% of your hardware was designed to talk to God, you would stop listening to the Matrix. You would stop needing their external validation, their media, and their fear. You would tune into the original broadcast. But to do that, you must first understand how they broke the antenna. You must understand the chemical and spiritual corrosion that has been systematically applied to your receiver since the day you were born. If we accept the scientific premise that you are a being of light, a biological laser designed to communicate with the cosmos, then the architecture of modern society begins to look less like progress and more like a dampening field. You must ask yourself a question that might shake the foundations of your comfort. Why is almost everything in your daily environment designed to lower the coherence of your biological system? This is not accidental incompetence. It is a carefully calibrated archonic dimmer switch. Watch what happens in your body when you eat a meal of highly processed, microwave-irradiated food. You do not just feel full, you feel sedated. You feel a distinct drop in mental clarity. Biologically, you have just ingested dead light. Fritz-Albert Popp discovered that wild, organic plants emit high levels of biophotons. They are batteries of solar energy that have organized chaos into order. Processed food has zero photon emission. It is high entropy matter. When you eat it, your body doesn't gain energy. It has to spend its own precious coherence to organize the chaos you just swallowed. You are literally paying an energetic tax to digest your own poison. You are replacing the living code of your cells with static. But the physical toxins, the fluoride calcifying your pineal antenna, the heavy metals disrupting your neural conductivity are just the hardware hack. The software hack is much more insidious. It is fear. The matrix operates on a very specific biological mechanism known as the amygdala hijack. When you are in a state of love, gratitude, or creative flow, your DNA strands actually unwind. They lengthen. They relax into a loose conformation, increasing their surface area to catch more photons from the quantum field. You become a powerful antenna. But when you are in fear, when you watch the news, when you doom scroll, when you worry about bills, your DNA physically contracts. It coils up tight. It switches off the codes. You essentially pull the plug on your own connection to the divine. Consider the implications of the Lucifer. Robert Monroe, the pioneer of out-of-body research, warned us that our anxiety is not a waste product. It is food. He described a layer of reality where entities, what the Gnostics called archons, or the Watchers, feed on the energy of human suffering. They do not want you dead, for dead cattle produce no milk. They do not want you fully awake, for sovereign beings cannot be eaten. They need you in the gray zone. They need you dim enough to be managed, but bright enough to generate the high-voltage friction of stress, anger, desire. This is why the Vertigo mind virus exists. It is the parasite in your head that loops negative thoughts, ensuring you stay in that contracted, coiled state. It is the voice that whispers you are not enough, keeping your vibration low and harvestable. And this brings us to the most uncomfortable truth, one that Carl Jung tried to warn us about. We often think of our shadow self as a dungeon of darkness to be avoided. But in the physics of light, the shadow is not empty space. It is trapped light. It is the part of your photon emission that you have repressed because it was too bright, too angry, or too powerful for your polite society to handle. By suppressing your shadow, by trying to be good instead of whole, you are actually aiding the dimmer switch. You are keeping your own voltage capped. You are not fighting a political war, a culture war, or an economic war. Those are distractions. You are in a biophysical war for the luminosity of your cells. Every time you choose convenience over vitality and fear over courage, you are turning the dimmer switch down with your own hand. So, how do we hack a system designed to keep us dim? We do not fight the darkness. Fighting only feeds it more emotional energy. Instead, we simply turn up the voltage until the parasites detach. This is not about health or wellness. This is about biophysical sovereignty. It requires a complete recalibration of how you interact with matter and energy. It begins with a radical shift in definition. Stop eating for calories. Start eating for information. You must introduce high-order biophotons into your system. When you consume more sun-ripened plants, you are not just eating fiber and vitamins. You are ingesting the sun's logic, highly organized packets of light energy that have successfully combated entropy. This is why fasting is so powerful in every ancient tradition. It is not just about weight loss. It is about stopping the influx of chaotic noise, allowing your DNA to run its self-repair diagnostic. Imagine this. Every time you choose a living food over a dead, processed product, you are literally replacing a corrupted line of code in your body with the original manufacturer's blueprint. You are rebuilding your antenna with conductive materials. Next, you must re-establish the connection with the primary transmitter, the sun. The Matrix has taught you to fear the sun, to smear chemicals on your skin to block it, and to hide behind dark glasses. While you must respect its power, avoiding it entirely is spiritual suicide. The ancient method of sun gazing, absorbing the first rays of dawn through the eyes, is not primitive worship. It is a data download. The retina is a direct extension of the brain. When that specific spectrum of golden owl light hits the optic nerve, it signals the pineal gland to decalcify. It resets your circadian rhythm to the planet's heartbeat. Rather than the artificial tick of the office clock, it tells your biology that you are awake, you are alive, and you are open to receive. But the most powerful tool in your arsenal is the heart laser. Science has proven that the heart generates an electromagnetic field 5,000 times stronger than the brain. This is the torus field that Itzhak Bentov and the ancients spoke of. When you are frustrated or fearful, this field is jagged and chaotic. It essentially creates a noise jam around your body. But when you induce a state of sincere gratitude even for no reason, the field becomes coherent. It turns into a standing wave. This leads us to the forbidden technique, Bentov's still point. Itzhak Bentov revealed that there is a microsecond of silence where the pendulum of consciousness pauses before swaying back. This is the 0 point, the infinite energy field hiding in plain sight. Thoth called this the art of existing between two heartbeats. Try this protocol. Find a quiet space, close your eyes, focus entirely on the center of your chest. Do not try to stop your thoughts. Let them run like background noise. Instead, listen for the silence between the thoughts. Feel for the pause between your breaths. In that tiny, infinite gap, the matrix cannot touch you. That is the still point. When you access it, even for a second, you step out of linear time and dip your consciousness into the absolute. You return to your body not just rested, but rebooted. You stop chasing the universe, and the universe begins to flow through you. Watch what happens in your body during these moments. You may feel a sudden vibration in your hands or a pop in your ears. This is not tinnitus. This is the pressure change of your consciousness expanding beyond the cage of your physical senses. You are coming back online. We are standing at the precipice of a fracture in the human timeline. The ancients didn't just warn us about the darkness. They predicted the return of the light. Thoth's final prophecy spoke of the Kali Yuga endgame, a time when the veils would thin and the illusions of the material world would shatter. Look round you. The shattering is not coming. It is already here. The systems are crumbling because they cannot hold the new voltage entering the planet. You are not merely a human being trying to survive an economic crash or a social collapse. You are a transition species. You are the bridge between Homo sapiens, the thinking man, and Homo luminous, the illuminated man. This is why you feel so profoundly out of place in this world. Your DNA is trying to run a new operating system on hardware that the world keeps trying to downgrade. Rudolf Steiner warned us of the Arianic trap waiting in this era, force designed to merge man with machine, to harden the human spirit into coal, calculated intellect, devoid of soul, the push for artificial intelligence, the obsession with screens, the synthetic food. It is all an attempt to crystallize you, to trap your consciousness in matter so deeply that you forget you ever had wings. But the friction you feel, the anxiety, the sleeplessness, the sudden ringing in your ears, do not mistake these for a sickness. These are recalibration signals. Feel the vibration in your hands that you felt at the beginning of this transmission. That was not a trick of the mind. That was a memory. It was your biocircuitry remembering its true function. You are a conscious projector of reality. Itzhak Bentov showed us that at the absolute point, consciousness becomes reality. You are not observing the universe. You are creating it through the lens of your own luminosity. The matrix, the food, the fear, the distraction is not just a cage. It is a gymnasium. It is the resistance against which your light must strengthen. Without the weight, you cannot build the muscle. Without the dark, you would never know how bright you actually are. But know this, the time for a sitting on the fence is over. The middle ground is disappearing. You can continue to be a biological battery, dimmed by convenience and fed upon by a system that despises your potential. Or you can choose the difficult, lonely, and terrifying path of the sovereign creator. You can choose to glow. It requires you to be straight. It requires you to say no to the poisons everyone else consumes. It requires you to stand in the sun when others hide in the shade. It requires you to guard your mind like a fortress against the vertigo virus of negativity. The light you save is the light that saves you. We are waiting for you in the frequency of the awakened.